Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be breakups and interest level. Will she come back? Well, I've got an email. This is definitely not a success story. This is actually why you should do the opposite of what this guy did. So, this particular guy has been with his girlfriend of 2 years. He's 25, got a successful business. And he said he read 3% Man once. He just got dumped by his girlfriend of the past 2 years. Didn't see it coming. And obviously, when I say you got to read the book 10 to 15 times, this is why. So what happened is he got lazy because he was successful in the beginning. Didn't bother reading it anymore. Didn't learn the material. Slowly over time, he in essence, continued doing all the things that turned women off previously. And it got to the point where she gave him the usual platitudes about, I got to work on myself. I can't give you what you want. And so she says all these things that communicate that he was over pursuing. And it's obvious that he was way more into her than she was into him towards the end of the relationship. She tried to friend zone him. He said, no, but if you're interested in dating or seeing each other, get in touch. She said, well, if you change your mind about being friends, get in touch with me. So now they're playing the game of chicken. And he wants to know what the likelihood is that she's going to come back. And now, because he's got dumped, he's like, oh, I'm definitely going to read this 10 more times. But this is why, if you do the work ahead of time, this could have been a great success story. But instead, this is a cautionary tale of not what to do. But at the end of the day, the dude's in the situation, and he wants to know what a lot of guys know that get dumped unexpectedly and didn't see it coming. He knew things were off, but he didn't think they were that bad. And so he tended to overrate her romantic interest in him, and he paid the price for it. So this is what you don't want to do. You don't want to just read the book and go, wow, I'm getting laid all the time. It's like, I don't need to learn any of this other stuff. I don't need that relationship garbage, Corey. I got the red pills going to help me out. I'll have to trigger some of the red pill guys in here. They really get butthurt. They don't like it when I point out the things that a guy does wrong because they're so focused on blaming women for everything. But at the end of the day, I've done tens of thousands of phone sessions over the last 20 years, thousands and thousands of emails. And it's like you see the same patterns over and over and over again. And women, doesn't matter where they are in the world, they say the same things to guys when they've lost interest and the guys turn them off and the guys over pursuing. And I'll point these out as I'm going through the email, but I can tell what she was thinking and feeling based on what she's told him. And so based on that, I could tell he was over pursuing, even though he never even brings it up. I can just tell by her reaction and what she says, what turned her off. So he says, hey, coach, my girlfriend of 2 years just ended things, and I've read 3% Man once, and we'll be reading it 10 more times after this breakup. Man, it's like people break my balls all the time in the comments. Oh, I always say 10 to 15 times. It's like people still don't listen. This guy had a 2-year relationship, and it blew up in his face because he didn't follow instructions. He says, I'm 25 and have a successful business. I'm confident and have dated many women. I'm reaching out because this girl checks all the boxes off my list, and I've never met someone who did. He says, I've never sought help like this, but this woman is truly something else. When she ended things, I used your strategy. I assume he's talking about 7 principles to get an ex back. I did not accept being friend zoned or being broken up, but instead wanted to continue seeing her. When she denied that, I told her to give me a call if she ever changed her mind. Well, he did things right at the breakup, but it was leading up to that. The signs were there. This is why you got to learn the book. This is why you got to read it 10 to 15 times, so you don't end up like this dude. What I'm most confused about is her interest level before we broke up. I thought it was still high. Well, as I say in the book, which you should have read 10 to 15 times, but you didn't, is that you should underrate it. You should assume that it's lower than you think it is, because that's typically what happens. He says maybe not an 8, but for sure not under a 5. So he knows her interest was low. So that tells me he thinks it was a 6 to 7, but in reality it was around a 5. Because all we have to do is look at her actions. Actions tell us everything. No matter how bad the red pill community wants to blame women for everything, it's not the case. He says, but for sure not under 5. We just went on a romantic vacation to San Diego, filled with fun dates and lots of sex. 3 days later, we split up. After she broke up with me, she was still showing physical attraction, love, and touch. We ended up kissing. Well, I mean, you did spend 2 years together. We ended up kissing and having sex before she left. Get some goodbye sex. Always nice. He says, as we said our goodbyes, she said she will always love me, and if I ever change my mind about being friends, to please reach out. That's not going to happen. Well, it shouldn't happen. Let's put it that way. Because if he does reach out after that, because the strongest negotiating position is being able to walk away and mean it. And so he's walked away saying, hey, get in touch if you're interested in romance. And she says, hey, get in touch if you're interested in friendship. And so he who speaks first loses. So if he reaches back out, then he's basically acquiescing to friendship. And he's bitching out. And he'll stay in friend zone. You never try to keep somebody who wants to keep you, especially a woman who stuck you in friend zone. He says her reasons for ending things were a few big ones. So remember, if you've been following me for a while, whenever I talk about dudes in long-term relationships, when I do phone sessions, there's always the same 2 things. It's either one or the other or a combination of both. Number 1, she doesn't feel heard and understood, so therefore the legs close. And number 2, he stopped dating and courting her. So listen carefully. Listen carefully, as my architectural drafting teacher would say from college. Great dude. He was a lot of fun. His name was Mario. He'd say, listen carefully, as he would give us instructions on what we were supposed to draw over the weekend or that evening. He says her reasons for ending things were a few big ones. She said she wasn't ready to give the amount of effort I deserved. So in other words, I know you like me more than I like you, and therefore I just can't give you the same level of effort and interest that you're giving me. That's what that means. That tells me he was way more in her than she was in him. Therefore, she had all the power. She was tired of being a professional girlfriend and always worried about meeting my needs. So, in other words, she was forcing herself to put on an act. Because the most important thing, remember, women don't care how much you like them. They only care about how they feel about you. And so inside, she wasn't feeling attracted, but mentally, she was keeping up a good public image. And this is why he was bamboozled. He didn't pay attention. He didn't learn that the chapter, it's all in the numbers. He couldn't tell when her interest had dropped. There's a bunch of things women do specifically for each category. And since he never learned it, he didn't see it happening. He just said, I'm good. I don't need to read Corey's book 10 to 15 times. I'm special. She said she did not want to be in a relationship, meaning she doesn't want to be in a relationship with him because her feelings are not there, and focus on herself for the time being. In other words, I don't want to pretend that I still want to be your girlfriend when I'm feeling like I don't. So that's what she really means when she says, I got to focus on myself. In other words, I got to make myself happy because I'm certainly not happy being your girlfriend and going through the motions. I don't feel the urge to do it. It's the important thing. Doesn't matter how much he cares about her and what a good dude he was, she's not feeling it. It's the only thing that matters. She felt like what I wanted from her was too much. And again, because he's way more into her than she was into him, and he didn't see it. He didn't notice it. It happened slowly, but this is what happens when you don't read the book 10 to 15 times. People don't believe me. I'm trying to save you heartache, but hey. Red pill guys went, oh, she just met somebody else. Hypergamy doesn't care. She's not yours. It's just your turn. I'm sure I'll see some triggered red pill dudes in the comment like usual. Love torturing them. It's pretty funny. They get upset pretty easy. She also said she felt like I did not understand her. Always 2 reasons. Long-term relationships. She didn't feel heard and understood, and they stopped dating and courting her properly. And here, She didn't feel heard and understood. So that tells me he had no idea how to communicate with her. No clue. Because again, when he's getting laid in the beginning, he's like, I don't need all that communication, mumbo jumbo nonsense. Hey, this girl loves me, thinks I'm amazing. He says, in regards to some of her life views, we have very different political views and views of the worldwide problems. She's an environmentalist, so she's a bit of a communist, it sounds like. A bit of a Marxist. The problem with Marxists and leftists is they think they know everything about everything, even though they're typically some of the most ignorant people, but they're sure that they're right. She's an environmentalist and I'm a businessman, so we butted heads on some things. She's probably not happy about the patriarchy. You damn capitalists. You damn entrepreneurs and capitalists with your businesses. I understand those things are big fuck-ups. Well, when a woman doesn't feel heard and understood, the legs close. And when she does, the legs open. And when she doesn't feel heard and understood long enough, it's eventually she's like, this guy's never going to get it. And she's constantly getting turned off, constantly doesn't feel like he cares or tries to understand her. He doesn't know what to look for because he didn't read the book. Before the breakup, we were working on these issues. You thought you were working on the issues, but the bottom line is she was still continually feeling like she was not heard and understood. There's a video I did years ago called How to Communicate with Women Effectively. It's also referenced in 3% Man. I highly recommend you watch it. He says, but I did not think it was this extreme to the level of her walking out. Yeah, because you didn't know what to look for. The chapter, It's All in the Numbers, has everything that a woman will be doing if she's in love. And when you see her doing things that a woman that has an attraction on a 5 is at a 5 on a scale of 1 to 10, you're on the verge of getting dumped. But he didn't bother learning it, so he didn't know what to look for. I always blame it on the guy. Well, I'm reading a guy's email. The woman didn't write me. She's gone on down the road. But the dude did. So he asked me to help him. So I'm helping him. Some tough love. Some verbal tongue lashing because he deserves it. Because hopefully, and I should say I know for a fact, there'll be lots of other dudes that will watch this and go, man, I don't want to be like that schmuck. I'm going to actually read the book 10 to 15 times and send Corey a good success story of what happens when you read it 10, 15, 20 times or more. He says, I know why she left me, and if I could go back in time, sure, famous last words, I would have made greater efforts to work on those things. It's like, well, I told you, you were warned, but you didn't listen. You've got to participate in your own rescue. During the breakup, I brought the issues up and explained how I'm willing to work on them. Oh, now he's willing to work on them. She'd been trying to get you to work on them for a long time, but you were dismissive, thought you knew it all. And she said she's not ready to be that committed to a relationship and fixing those problems. What she's really saying is, my interest is gone, dude. Elvis has left the building. My pussy's drier than the Sahara Desert. No dice. No chance of a rainstorm anywhere close. Not going to happen. So she can focus on herself. In other words, again, like I said earlier, she wants to make herself happy because she wasn't happy putting on an act pretending to be into you. I know it's harsh, but I'm not here to blow sunshine up your ass because this can save somebody else's relationship. As long as they listen and do the work. He says, my biggest question is she going to come back? Flip a coin. It could go either way. What is the chance? 50-50. It could go either way. How long does it generally take if her interest is still at a 5 or a higher? Could be a few days, could be a few weeks, could be a few months. We don't know. There also could be another dude in the picture that she met. Who knows? The bottom line is, from exactly what she said, she's turned off to the point where, like I said, it's pretty dusty down there. No signs of moisture anywhere. It's like an old haunted house. Cobwebs everywhere, dust everywhere. I know I'm terrible. You got to laugh about these things because, as you get older, you look back in your life like, man, I fucked up a lot. It's like, hey, you guys read the book. I got a lot of my fuck ups in there. So I fucked up first so you don't have to. But hey, some guys are committed to fucking up on their own going, you know what, Corey, you were right. That 10 to 15 times I should have listened. I would have still had a girlfriend if I'd have listened. If you don't end up making a video, it would be greatly appreciated for video recommendations for something similar that you've made. Well, you're in luck because I made a video for you. But like I said, the best thing you can be doing now is reading a book 10 to 15 times, read the article or watch the video, How to Communicate with Women Effectively, like 10 times. I would also encourage you to go through 7 Principles, Get an Ex Back a dozen or so times and be prepared because she'll probably, if she does reach out, is going to try to see if you'll acquiesce to her demands of friendship. You're not going to meet her out for coffee, no neutral locations, no lunches, no going to her place. She's got to come to your house to make dinner in the evening. And if she's unwilling to do that, again, all the objections are handled in 7 Principles, Get an Ex Back. She's got to come to you. She's got to earn another chance with you, not the other way around. She unilaterally ended it, said she was not willing to work on it at this point, and said, hasta la vista, baby. Call me if you want a friendship and blue balls. So again, she reaches out, make a date. She's got to come over 3 dates in a row. And as long as you hang out, have fun, and hook up all 3 dates, then you can meet her out and pick her up and do those things. But you got to let her do 100% of pursuing. And so the other thing I always say, it's obvious that you were still over pursuing this girl as well. And you noticed things were way off and you were trying to force things instead of things being easy and effortless and her making them easy for you. She stuck around until her feelings were pretty much gone. She put on an act and you bought the act. And then she dipped out when the feelings were completely gone and you're surprised because you mistakenly assumed just because she was around, she felt a certain way. But if you'd have known what was in the attraction table, the chapter It's All in the Numbers, then you would have known what to look for. You would have seen her interest dropping and would have recognized that you needed to change things. So get back out there, start meeting and dating new women and move on with your life. Assume it's over and you're probably never going to hear from her again. I know it's not what you want to hear, but this is where it's at. You wanted to work things out, but she said no dice. She says, I'm out. She tapped out. Elvis has left the building. Your ex-girlfriend and her entourage have moved on to greener pastures. So if you got a question or a challenge and you'd like to get my help, go to understandingrelationships.com, click the products tab at the top of your screen, and book a coaching session with yours truly. Until next time, I will talk to you soon.